All right, are you ready to like really dive deep into Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood? Because today we're going to be exploring some fan theories that might just blow your mind.
Yeah, you know what I think is so cool about fan theories? They encourage us to go beyond the surface.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they make us question the why behind everything.
Totally.
And that can be super rewarding.
Absolutely. So let's kick things off with one of the most popular theories out there. What about the idea that the homunculi are actually reflections of Father's deepest fears and regrets?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's a compelling one.
It is.
Instead of just being, artificial humans,
Right.
they become these complex, like, representations of his inner turmoil.
Yeah.
Think about how each homunculus is linked to a deadly sin.
Oh, yeah.
Gluttony, for instance, embodies an insatiable hunger,
Right.
like a fear of emptiness.
Hmm.
And then you've got envy, consumed by jealousy, always comparing themselves to others.
It's almost like each homunculus embodies a flaw, right?
Yeah, that Father, or even like humanity as a whole, struggles with.
Yeah.
And that makes you wonder, could those flaws have, like, led Father down that dark path? you know?
That's a great point. Remember how Father was trapped in that flask?
Oh, yeah.
Just a consciousness?
Right.
Makes you wonder if that isolation, that yearning for knowledge and power,
Yeah.
if that, like, warped his perspective.
I always saw Father as this purely evil mastermind, but this theory adds a whole new layer of tragedy
Oh,
to him.
yeah.
It's like he's battling against these parts of himself that he can't escape.
Right.
But I'm curious, do you think the homunculi could have chosen a different path?
Ooh, that's where things get really interesting.
Right.
It raises questions about, like, free will versus destiny,
Yeah.
especially in a world governed by equivalent exchange.
Of course. Right.
Remember, to obtain something of equal value must be lost.
Right.
Did the homunculi have anything of equal value to, like, exchange for their freedom?
That's a really tough question.
It is.
But even if their choices were limited, we do see them struggle with their identity.
Mm-hmm.
Like when greed defies Father or when wrath questions his purpose.
Right.
It's like there's a flicker of something more within them.
You're absolutely right. Those moments of defiance, those glimpses of individuality, it adds a whole other layer of complexity to their characters.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, what if they'd been given different circumstances, a different path? Could they have become something more than just Father's pawns?
It's definitely something to think about.
It is.
Now, let's switch gears a bit and talk about the Gate of Truth.
Okay.
That mysterious source of all alchemical knowledge. This place is crucial to the story, and there are some wild theories about it.
It's important to remember the core principle of alchemy here, right? Equivalent exchange.
Right.
It's not just about material balance. It governs all actions, even the pursuit of knowledge.
Yeah.
And that brings us to a really cool theory. What if the Gate of Truth isn't just a doorway, but a living entity?
A living entity. That's
Yeah.
kind of creepy.
Isn't it?
So it's not just handing out knowledge freely.
Exactly. This theory proposes it tests those who seek its power, judging their worthiness, demanding a heavy price.
Oh, wow.
Think about the characters who encounter the gate.
Yeah.
What do they sacrifice?
Right.
What's taken from them in exchange for that knowledge?
It makes you realize that equivalent exchange goes beyond just like the physical realm,
Right.
It digs into their experiences, their memories,
I'm deep.
even their sense of self.
Absolutely. And that connects to another theory about the gate.
Okay.
The idea that it might actually be a prison.
Wait, a prison?
Now that's a twist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
It's a fascinating concept.
it is.
The source material never actually says what might be trapped behind the gate,
Right.
which is part of the mystery.
Yeah.
Could it be some ancient force of chaos, a being of unimaginable power, threatening reality itself?
Now that you mention it, there are definitely moments in the series where you sense something huge and unknowable lurking beneath the surface.
Right.
Like maybe the alchemists are meddling with forces they don't understand.
Yeah, it's like adding cosmic horror to the series.
Right.
Makes you question whether the pursuit of knowledge, even with good intentions, could have unintended consequences.
So, do you think the gate is ultimately a force for good or something more sinister?
That is a tough one. I think it's probably a bit of both.
Okay.
It's this source of immense power,
Yeah.
capable of creation and destruction,
Right.
So, like, the gate itself is neutral.
Hmm.
It's the intentions of those who access it that really matter.
Right.
It determines whether that knowledge is used for good or for evil.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's a tool,
It is.
and it's up to the individual to decide how to use it.
Exactly.
And that brings us to another fascinating element.
Yeah.
The Philosopher's Stone. This thing grants alchemists immense power, but there are theories that suggest its purpose goes beyond just being a power source.
The Philosopher's Stone is a perfect example of how fan theories can really make us think about a story's themes.
Yeah.
One theory I find particularly interesting is the idea that it's not just a tool, but a test.
A test.
Yeah, it's like a way to judge the wielder's heart,
Uh-huh.
separating the worthy from the unworthy.
Okay, so how does this test work?
Well, imagine this. The stone amplifies the user's intentions. If someone approaches it with a pure heart, wanting to help others, their power might be magnified,
Okay.
and their actions might lead to good things. But if someone is consumed by greed,
Yeah.
ambition, or a lust for power,
Yeah.
those negative parts of them could be amplified too, leading to, disastrous consequences.
That makes a lot of sense, especially when you consider the horrific cost of creating a Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
The sacrifices involved,
Right.
the human lives lost. It all points to this idea that immense power comes with, huge responsibility.
Absolutely.
And those who try to take shortcuts to bypass the natural order, they often end up paying a terrible price.
And there's another aspect to the Philosopher's Stone that ties into this idea of cost and consequence.
Okay.
Its connection to immortality.
Right.
Some theories suggest the stone might hold the key to extending life, maybe even granting immortality.
But of course, there's always a price to be paid, right?
Always. Equivalent exchange.
Right.
To achieve immortality, one would have to sacrifice something of equal value. Maybe their humanity, their soul, even the lives of others.
That's a scary thought.
It is. It raises some big questions.
Yeah.
What is the true cost of immortality?
Right.
Is it worth sacrificing your very essence, your connection to humanity, to live forever? And what are the ethical implications of using a stone created through such a dark process?
These are some really heavy questions, but they make you think about the deeper meaning behind the Philosopher's Stone and its role in the story.
Right.
It's not just a magical artifact. It's a symbol of humanity's aspirations and its limitations.
It's the allure of forbidden knowledge, that desire to transcend our limits.
Right.
But also, it's like a cautionary tale,
Yeah.
reminding us that tampering with the natural order can have dire consequences.
So, do you think the Philosopher's Stone is inherently evil? Or just a tool that can be used for good or bad?
I don't think it's inherently either.
Okay.
It's a neutral force, a catalyst.
Yeah.
It magnifies the intentions of the user.
Uh-huh.
In the right hands, it could achieve great things.
Right.
But in the wrong hands, it could become a weapon of unimaginable destruction.
Yeah.
It's the human heart, the choices we make, that determine whether its power is used for good or evil.
That's powerful. That makes me appreciate the complexity of Fullmetal Alchemist even more.
And remember, we've only just scratched the surface of these fan theories.
There's so much more to explore.
There is.
We've journeyed through the motivations of the homunculi, the enigma of the gate, the implications of the Philosopher's Stone,
We have.
but our deep dive into Fullmetal Alchemist. Brotherhood isn't over.
Not even close.
Next, we'll be diving into the future of Amestris,
Oh, yeah.
a nation scarred by war and intrigue.
That's right. We'll examine the theories surrounding the fate of this nation and its people.
Will they find peace and prosperity? Or are there more shadows lurking on the horizon? Stay tuned to find out.
Ooh. Yeah.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the fan theories of Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood.
We've just been exploring all these mysteries, the homunculi, the gate of truth, and the Philosopher's Stone.
So many complex ideas.
Oh.
Now we're turning our attention to the future of Amestris.
Yeah.
This nation that's been through so much conflict, grappling with such a tumultuous past.
It makes you think, like, after all that turmoil and sacrifice,
Right.
can Amestris ever really find peace?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's some really fascinating theories that give us different perspectives on this.
There are.
Some lean towards optimism,
Yeah.
while others are, well, a bit more cautious,
Let's start with one that offers a glimmer of hope. Okay. This theory suggests that Amestris' future is kind of tied to the lessons that its people have learned, through hardship. It's about growth and transformation.
Yeah.
The idea that suffering can forge resilience and a determination to create something better.
It's like they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly.
But it's not just about individual strength here.
Right.
It's more about a collective resilience,
Yeah.
like a shared understanding of the need for change.
The theory proposes that the people of Amestris, after enduring so much, are more aware now
Right.
of the dangers of blind obedience,
Yeah.
of unchecked ambition, and the abuse of power.
They've seen it firsthand.
They have.
And it sounds like they're ready to break free from those cycles of the past.
It's a powerful idea. Even in the darkest times, there's potential for positive change.
Right.
A chance for people to unite and build something better.
And let's not forget the influence of people like the Elric brothers.
Oh, absolutely.
Their pursuit of the truth.
Yeah.
Their willingness to challenge authority.
To stand up for what's right.
Their compassion for others.
Yeah, they've inspired so many.
They've shown what it means to fight for what's right, even when it's hard.
Even when it seems impossible.
They've become symbols of hope for Amestris.
Yeah, they have.
Their actions, their sacrifices have planted those seeds for a brighter future.
Right. One where alchemy is used to help people, not for selfish gain.
For good, not for destruction.
Exactly.
It's inspiring, especially after all the darkness Amestris has faced.
It is.
But, we gotta be realistic too, right?
Of course. There's always another side to consider.
There is.
Right. While there's potential for positive change, there are also theories that are a little more cautious about the future. Some fans think that despite the lessons learned, new threats might still emerge.
Oh, right, like they could be tested again.
Exactly.
Yeah,
The scars of war, they run deep.
they do.
And the potential for conflict, it never really goes away.
It's like this constant battle, right, between progress and the shadows of the past.
It is.
You try to move forward,
You do.
but there's always that risk
Yeah.
that old wounds will reopen, that the cycle of violence will just start all over again.
And think about the political landscape in Amestris.
Okay,
It's still fragile.
right.
There are those who would take advantage of that,
With their own gain.
Yeah, so chaos and division.
It makes you realize peace is something you have to constantly work for.
All the time.
It's not enough to just wish for a better future.
No, you have to build it.
Right.
You have to address the root causes of conflict.
You have to create a society where everyone feels safe and valued.
That's a crucial point.
It-
The future of Amestris depends on the choices that its people make.
The paths they choose to follow.
Will they give in to fear and division?
Right.
Or will they choose compassion and understanding?
Will they forge a path towards lasting peace?
We don't know.
And that's what makes it so interesting.
It is.
There's no easy answer, no guaranteed outcome.
A fate of Amestris hangs in the balance.
It does.
And it's up to them to decide what kind of future they want.
And that's the power of storytelling.
It is.
Fullmetal Alchemist. Brotherhood doesn't shy away from the tough questions.
It doesn't.
It challenges us to think about different perspectives.
To look at the consequences of our actions.
To recognize that even in the face of adversity,
Yeah.
there's always hope.
Always.
We've delved into the motivations of the Homunculi,
We have.
the mystery of the Gate of Truth,
Yeah.
the implications of the Philosopher's Stone,
Right.
and now the uncertain fate of Amestris.
Each of these elements adds to the richness of the story.
They do.
They invite us to explore these deeper themes.
And to really contemplate what it means to be human.
But as we're wrapping up this deep dive,
Yeah.
there's one final question we should ask.
A question that might unlock a whole new level of understanding.
It might.
Are you ready for this?
I think so.
Okay, here it is. What if everything we've discussed so far is just the tip of the iceberg?
Whoa.
What if the truth about Fullmetal Alchemist is even bigger than we can imagine?
What if the real journey starts not with the answers,
Right.
but with the questions we ask?
So keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep diving deeper into the worlds you love.
The answers you seek.
They might be closer than you think,
Hidden in plain sight.
waiting to be uncovered.
By the curious and the intrepid.
Until next time, keep that flame of curiosity burning bright.
And may your alchemical journeys be filled with wonder and enlightenment. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Fullmetal Alchemist. Brotherhood through the lens of fan theories.
Yeah, we've covered so much, from the homunculi to the Gate of Truth, the Philosopher's Stone, even the future of Amestris.
What's really hitting me now, as we're wrapping up,
Yeah.
is how these fan theories, while speculative, they actually enhance our understanding of the core themes.
Yeah, they illuminate these hidden pathways,
Right.
helping us connect the dots and see those themes in a whole new light.
They're not just filling plot holes or anything, they're deepening our appreciation for the story.
Exactly.
Like, take the theory about the homunculi being reflections of fathers, repressed emotions.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Instead of just villains, they become like these complex figures.
Almost tragic, right?
Yeah.
Each embodying a different part of his struggle.
And when you think about the theory that each one represents a human flaw,
Huh.
it makes you think about our own darker nature.
Those impulses we try to hide.
Yeah, it's like the series is holding up a mirror to us.
Showing us our own capacity for those deadly sins.
And the gate of truth, with that theory of it being a living entity, that tests you.
That one adds a whole new layer to equivalent exchange.
It really does.
It's not just the material cost anymore.
Right.
It's about the personal sacrifices.
And the consequences.
Yeah, even when we have good intentions.
And then there's that theory about the gate being a prison.
Oh, man, that's a creepy one.
It is, right?
It adds this, cosmic horror element.
It does.
It's like some knowledge is just too dangerous.
Like opening a Pandora's box.
Exactly.
It makes you think twice about alchemy,
Definitely.
Even when we're trying to do good, there can be unintended consequences.
Okay, now let's talk about the Philosopher's Stone.
Okay.
This object of huge power, but also so much ethical ambiguity.
Right.
The theory that it's a test of your morality, I find that one so fascinating.
Me too.
It highlights that real power isn't in the object itself.
But in our choices.
Exactly.
It's a big responsibility.
It is.
And even the best intentions can be twisted,
By greed, by selfishness.
And those theories about the future of Amestris, with the potential for both peace and conflict,
Yeah.
it really shows you that history can repeat itself.
That constant struggle.
Between hope and despair.
It's a reminder that peace is something you have to work at every single day.
So, as we're finishing up here,
Yeah.
what's the big takeaway for you?
For me, it's that these theories, even though they're speculative, they make us understand Fullmetal Alchemist in a much deeper way.
They encourage us to think, to question.
To come to our own conclusion.
And it just shows you the best stories stick with us.
They do.
They make us think long after they're over.
They spark our imaginations.
So if you're a fan of Fullmetal Alchemist,
Yeah.
revisit it with these theories in mind.
Look for the symbolism, the connections.
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Challenge the narrative.
Find your own interpretation.
Because a great story can have multiple meanings.
And you know what?
What?
Maybe your own insights will inspire others to dive deeper too.
It's all about keeping that conversation going.
So keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep that curiosity alive.
The answers you're looking for might be right there in front of you.
Waiting to be discovered.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
It has been a journey.
It has.
Until next time.
May your own journeys be filled with wonder and discovery.